Sometimes, life takes a turn we never planned for. Dreams are delayed, doors remain shut. Effort feels unrewarded, yet even in those seasons, God is still at work behind the scenes. This story is drawn from Romans chapter 8, verse 28 NKJV. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to His purpose. Chukwuemeka Okafor was 32 years old, brilliant, disciplined, and full of promise. From a young age, everyone knew Emeka was different. While others played, he read. While others relaxed, he studied. Education was his ladder out of poverty, and he climbed it with determination. When he graduated from the university with a first-class degree, joy filled his home. Neighbors congratulated his parents. Church members spoke of him as our future success story. Even Emeka believed the hardest part of life was behind him. But reality had other plans. Nigeria's economy was unforgiving. Jobs were scarce. Companies downsized instead of hiring. One rejection email became 10. 10 became silence. Months passed. Then years. At 32, Emeka was still unemployed. Every morning, he wore a clean shirt. Not because he was going to an office, but because he refused to let hopelessness define him. He hustled on the streets, running errands, helping traders load goods, doing small tech jobs for people who barely paid. Some days, he ate twice. Other days, he slept hungry. But hunger wasn't the deepest pain. Shame was. People whispered, "Isn't he the one with a first-class degree?" Some avoided him. Others offered advice that felt like judgment. Yet every night, Emeka knelt beside his worn-out mattress and prayed, "God, I don't understand this season, but I trust you." Romans 8:28 became his anchor. He couldn't see the good yet, but he believed it was coming. One hot afternoon, exhausted from hustling, Emeka stopped by a roadside bookshop to rest. As he flipped through a dusty book, a gentle voice interrupted his thoughts. "Excuse me, are you done with that?" He looked up and saw a doggo, calm, graceful, a teacher in her late 20s who loved books and believed knowledge could heal society. They talked about books, life, faith, and dreams. For the first time in a long while, Emeka felt seen, not judged. Their meeting wasn't dramatic. No lightning, no loud music. Just two lives crossing paths in an ordinary place. While God quietly wrote an extraordinary story, they began meeting often. A doggo listened to Emeka's story without pity. When he spoke about his first-class degree and street hustling, she didn't flinch. She simply said, "God hasn't wasted anything about your life." Those words healed something deep inside him. A doggo became his encouragement. She reminded him to pray when he felt tired. She reminded him of God's promises when rejection came. Sometimes, she supported him financially, not as a savior, but as a partner who believed in his future. And slowly, life began to shift. One evening, a doggo mentioned a former schoolmate whose company was quietly recruiting. Emeka hesitated. Fear had made him cautious. But a doggo insisted, "Try again. Faith means knocking even when your hands are tired." He applied. This time, the interview was different. The years of struggle had refined him. He spoke with humility, depth, and resilience. His story, once a source of shame, became his strength. Weeks later, the email arrived. He got the job. A good job. Stable pay. Real growth. Emeka wept, not because of money, but because Romans 8:28 was no longer just a verse. The delays, the streets, the hunger, the meeting with a doggo, everything had worked together for good. Not long after, Emeka proposed. They married in a modest but joyful ceremony filled with gratitude. Standing beside a doggo, Emeka realized something powerful. God didn't just give him a job. God gave him restoration. Today, Chukwuemeka and Adago live a life anchored in faith. They testify that God may not come early, but He is never late. What looks like a setback may be a divine setup. So if you're listening to this and you feel delayed, forgotten, or stuck, remember this: God is still working behind the scenes. Just like Emeka, all things are working together for your good. If this story blessed you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next uplifting story from Winning Verses.